Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome back to Fewnilla County. And last time out, we did our little European suburbia suburb over here, which I think turned out really quite nice. I really like this town centre actually. And also this tower as well, slightly further down the slope, giving a slightly different layer and height to our little mini skyline here. I think has turned out pretty nice. So yeah, super duper pleased with this. And of course, the introduction of trains. Now, we will be coming back to do the big transport hub in Tyler Town Centre at a later date. But for today, we're going to be focusing on our waterfront for this area out here. So I think the plan really is to do a Green Cities waterfront. I definitely want to incorporate the fish market. We've got a fish factory over here and actually the seafood factory as well. But I'd love to have a fish market out here down on the waterfront. So pairing that with a little bit of Green Cities marketplace stalls, a bit of a pedestrian waterfront walkway, maybe a little bit of leisure as well, I think will be quite nice down here. But obviously we've got some very slopey terrain to contend with, so I think we are going to need to layer this. So to start off with today, I'm actually going to put in a key kind of halfway through this area to help with the terrain management just a little bit. So we're going to be cheesing that in by terraforming out a huge platform here. I think I'm pretty much going to come up to about that level. And again, this is, as always, with pretty much all of my builds, this is going to look truly, truly awful before it looks good. Now, I do just want to make sure, actually, I keep this kind of nice level height for the banking out here. So we'll just go like that for now. We'll let the water flow into here. I'll whack it up to fast speed. Then we're going to drop a key in. And then we're going to terraform it away. And once we terraform it away, the key's not going to go anywhere. So we need to make sure it's in the right place before we start building down on our front level here. But yeah, it's a nice little trick to get some nice layers in your banking. You know, I'm looking at that and I'm like, an island here might be quite cool. But I'm not going to change my plans now. And I'd like the key to be really kind of nice and parallel and level to this road at a nice 90-degree angle to it. So we've got some nice straight lines in here, and I can tell already that road looks super bumpy. So we're going to need to level out the top area of where we want our key to go for now, and we can kind of smooth it out later. So let's go to a small brush size here, and we'll just grab the level of the terrain at the bottom of this road here and start bringing this out. And this way it will give us a really nice smooth top to our key, which is, yeah, pretty important to make sure that this doesn't look all bumpy and janky, which can obviously happen in the vanilla City Skylines game. That should probably do quite nicely there. So let's bring in a guide road like that. I'm not actually going to keep this road, I don't think, so we'll probably get rid of it. But for now, that'll do fine. Let's go ahead and grab our keys. And importantly, we want to make sure we've got the one that they can walk on the bottom. So hopefully people will actually use these stairs to traverse down or fly down the key, as we know that they do. So let's go ahead and draw that up to there. I don't know if this allows us enough room to get this road down the side. It looks like it does, but let's actually just slope this down a little bit so that we can bring that road in there and see how this looks. So the key is actually just slightly too close, so we'll just remove that bit and we'll redraw it in. Let's actually turn off snapping to road length and see how close we can make it. I think we can make it a square away and still be okay. So yeah, this looks absolutely truly awful right now. So now what we need to do is a lot of terrain work here, and we're going to cause massive floods with this, but not to worry. It will be okay in the end. And yeah, if we push this terrain back to the bottom of the key, I'm hoping it's going to be a kind of good height. We need to get rid of this road because that's actually forcing up the terrain around the bottom of the key there. So let's just push this up and see how that sits with the bottom part of this key. What we want to make sure is that it's essentially level to it. So it's very, very, very slightly below it right now. So if we just try and pull that up a little bit more, we might get a better level here. I don't know if that's too much of a step down for them right now. Okay, and this level is probably just about perfect actually. So yeah, we are just going to go ahead and flatten out the entire front bit again so that we get a really nice area to work with along the waterfront here. I'm not entirely sure how much space we want to have to play with yet, so we'll let the water calm down, we'll put our assets in, and then we might need to just trim back this waterfront ever so slightly. Okay, so the water has settled. We've got our key in. I've smoothed the terrain off on the top of the key area here. We're actually going to be putting in a park here, but we're going to come back to that later on because I think, honestly, the terrain is just too much to handle. We could, of course, done more keys, extra layers, maybe put some residential in here, but it is very close to the train station as well, so I'm kind of not inclined to do that. I think a nice big park with some big rocks and cool kind of natural things in here would be a good kind of separation and ring road around the station that we have here down to our waterfront. So let's get onto this now, and we're going to start off with the road network, of course. Now this road needs some serious sorting out, so we're actually going to delete that for now. We're going to go back into landscaping tools. We're going to use the slope function. So if we go to the smallest setting, we'll right click on the junction at the top here. We'll come down to where we want the road to meet, which is probably about here. And we're going to start sloping this up so that we get a really nice, smooth, sloped road right up to the top here. Now, of course, that building looks like it's in the way a little bit, but the road went in fine before, so I'm assuming it'll just push down the terrain around it, which isn't too much of a problem, really. Let's grab our bike lane road again, and we'll bring it down just to there. And then we get a nice, very steep, smooth slope. I actually don't think it's too steep. I think that's kind of all right. I think people could drive on that. I've driven worse, I'm pretty sure. And that brings us down into our waterfront here. So what I would like for this, I think we're going to use a nice, maybe a tree-lined road. Maybe a tree with median might be quite nice here. And we're going to draw this out in front of this. Now, I think we might have to go a little bit further back because what I would like to put in here firstly, as mentioned, is the fish market. So let's go into our fishing menu, we'll select the market, and yeah, we need quite a bit more space for this. So it looks like it's probably 10 tiles deep at least. So let's just adjust this road back. And yeah, now we can fit our fish market in here nicely. Now I'd really like this kind of centralised to where the station is. So if we just check that out, I think that that's okay. If we have a look from the top down view, it may be easier to see that. It's pretty central. I think that will do for what we want to do here. And we have then got room as well to add a pedestrian path in behind it to connect up to all these stairs. Now you will realise I did say I didn't want stairs on every step. I totally forgot about that, and it would mean redoing the water to be able to change these, so I'm going to leave it. I don't think it's too bad like that. It gives them lots of points of access at least anyway. So we're going to have a bit of commercial up alongside this road for sure, but I would also like to have a pedestrian waterfront out here. So we're going to go in and grab our pedestrian roads, and I'll use the blue stone for this. I think we will just leave it as the unmarked one for now. And we're going to draw in a road that is 1 unit away from our main road here. Now we may have to terraform out a little bit further to get this in nicely, although that's gone in pretty fine there. Then we are just going to connect this road up nice and simply into the edge of our fishing harbour area here. So that connects in and gives them another point of access to get into our waterfront area. Now this, you can see, has raised up a little bit here, so we do need to just adjust the terrain a little bit. And actually it looks like it's raised up slightly here too. This one looks flat enough. A little bit more room. So that should do nicely, and then we can try and redraw in our pedestrian road. Oh, that looks nice and flat to me, so yeah, pleased with that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to just connect it into the bottom of this road here, and then we're actually going to continue this road on round, trying to keep it quite level to that waterfront there. And we'll just bend it slightly this way. This can be a little bit more haphazard. Doesn't have to be perfectly parallel there. We'll create a bit more interest with this area, but that's going to house some high density residential green cities assets. I'm conscious we don't have power here, so I'm going to actually come back to that in a little bit, but what we do need to do now is draw in a district for our green cities. So I'm going to cover all of this like so, and then we're going to add the green cities commercial specialisation to it. Now of course we also got a pedestrian area here, so let's not forget that. So we'll go back to districts, and we're going to also add in a pedestrian district over this entire area, and we will connect in the pedestrian road the other end as well, and have a few connection points in the middle so that people can come backwards and forwards from the pedestrian road into the other areas. So add that in like that, and then let's add in our service point, which we are going to need as well. And I quite like the look of this right up next to the fish market here. It's got the containers on the back, so it sort of feeds into the look of that. There's a little door out the back here which could almost lead into it. I'm quite happy with that placement. So yeah, we will just connect this in this end. I think we've probably come maybe a little bit too far for what we actually need here. So let's go back a little bit further and then we can curve it into the side there. Then as mentioned, we want a few points of access along this. So it's very easy for citizens to walk between the pedestrian road and the main road there. So something like that will do nicely. I realise we're just on fast speed, so let's slow that down. And then outside the front, I would like to add in another key, and we're actually going to use the new key from the update with the nice trees on it, the city key, because I think this would be a nice addition here. So what we do want to do is snap it into the guidelines of our pedestrian road, and we probably need to come a little bit closer for this. So let's actually go back into terraforming. Lots of playing around with the levels here. And we'll just push this back up closer to that pedestrian road there, like that. Now, the one trouble with this key is it will not join in to our walkable city keys that we've got here. So that's a bit of a problem, for me at least. I'm just going to push this back so we can see more of that. But we can use potentially a rock to fill this space. Now, you see most of these will just clash with it, but there is one, which I believe is this one, which is a little bit more clash friendly. Only a tiny bit. So we can kind of add that in there, which sort of helps when we come to break up the key to make it slightly less obvious that there is that obvious break in it. So again, let's come in and we'll add this key in, trying to get it as parallel as we can to that pedestrian road. We need to go a little bit further with this to get it round the corner. Let's go like that. And then we can continue it on round this side, like so. And then I think we can try and we'll turn off snapping to angle and to grid. We can try and angle it in a little bit more. That'll be a sort of nice end to the key, and that yeah, slopes up a little bit. We don't really want that, so maybe a tiny bit shorter. Yeah, that's not too bad. And this corner will be all natural, kind of bringing in that forest brush that we've got down here, down towards the waterfront as well. Again, trying to break up some of the patterns, so not everything is exactly the same all the time. Let's go back to snap to angle. And we'll turn it off and see if we can do a similar thing here and get it as close as we can to that rock without deleting it. So yeah, something like that. And there is potential to maybe add a couple of smaller rocks in there. I did go in there a second ago, just to help fill out this area. And we can add these much smaller ones, which sort of helps to blend that out a little bit. Now I do also want to bring ferries into this. Now we haven't got anywhere for them to go as of just yet, but I think it'll be an important addition for the moment. Now, yeah, we may have a few issues getting this in with my road here, so let's just delete this out for the moment and we can re-put that back in. But let's have the ferry stop on the edge here. It says space already occupied. Is that we just can't put it on this key? Interesting. So we just upgrade this single section to the old key. Yes, then we can get in our ferry stop right here. So that will be a nice addition there. Now it's going to be a really annoying addition with the terrain there. Yeah, so we may have to do something with that to get this in nicely, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So let's try and connect it up into here, and this may not go well. We can bring it down a little bit, yeah, and then we can connect it in like this. Okay, so it's a slightly raised ferry terminal, but I think we can put some detailing in there to sort of cover that up, hopefully, and make it feel a little bit more sensible. I'm wondering if we could actually connect in the pedestrian path down here as well. It may just have to be a pathway to connect that. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Now, of course, let's change up our trees as well here. And I would like a nice horse chestnut along the front, which I think would be a welcome addition all the way along our waterfront here. It's nice and kind of shady and bulky, but not so much so like the live oaks, which kind of get in people's way, I think, when they're walking around. So yeah, I think that's a good addition and kind of change from our conifers as well that we've been using elsewhere. This road, I'm not actually convinced now about the trees. I think it may be better actually to go back to our bike lane roads for this. So let's upgrade them, and then that will just keep that cycle network flowing throughout this area as well. We could just have a few trees coming into it here. I'm not opposed to there. Let's change those up for a little pine tree. I'm actually going to change this to a non-zoned part of the road here, just so we get better zoning in here to play with, and along the bottom here as well. I think that will be a little bit nicer than what we had previously. And we have got a bit of a bump in this road now, so I'm actually just going to delete it and re-slope this and hope that we can kind of change that up and make that a little bit nicer. Yeah, it's not perfect by any means, but it's not too bad, so I think we'll be happy with that. Now the ferry stop I am just going to turn off for the moment, because further down the line we'll be putting in a ferry depot, obviously, and more ferry stops elsewhere. For now, it's just not needed because there is nowhere for them to go. Okay, so let's talk about Green City's commercial zoning. Now, we did put in the district for it, and we put on the specialisation, yes. I would also like a very small area of leisure down here too. So we're just going to put in another district down this way. And we're going to put the leisure specialisation onto here. It's far enough away from any residential that the noise pollution from these is not going to affect it. So we can just zone in this little section here, and in fact actually let's make sure that we're bringing it down to this little corner, because we could have another little asset in this block right here. But then with Green Cities, what I would like is a kind of marketplace right next to the fish market, which I think will be a really nice extension to it. So I'm actually going to grab our gravel roads, and we have got zoning turned off, yes. We're going to turn on all snapping. We're going to bring this out down the side here and then draw it across this way. Now, for some reason, that's just changed the zoning on our other road. Interesting. Okay, so let's redraw in our little market stalls like this. And then we do actually want some more behind it, so I'll upgrade that one to a zoned road. And then we're going to add in a few more market stalls like so. Now, we have to be kind of selective about the assets that grow in here, because, yeah, we will get things like this, which is one market stall at the back, which is okay, but what I really want is the row of 4 market stalls which come in here, and we can kind of fill out this area of the market. So we'll keep an eye on that and come back to it. And then to fill out this space behind as well, we're going to bring in another gravel road behind here, and actually we could connect it up here, which might make a bit of sense. But let's turn off zoning for this road so we're not fracturing our zonings down the front here. And then we'll come in and zone in a bit more Green Cities behind there. Along the waterfront as well, there are some seriously cute little Green Cities assets, like 1x1s, 1x2s, sometimes actually even 1x3s as well. So we're going to zone in a few of these to make it feel quite alive along the waterfront down here. And we'll mix up the zonings for them. So yeah, it's kind of different in different places like that. And we want to leave a little bit of space in between them so that we've got a bit of a breathing room, and we can put in some trees and other decorations in between them. So that should give us a nice vibrant waterfront, I think, there. And let's, of course, not forget to connect up our walkable quays here. So I am actually going to run, I think we'll run a pavement road all the way up the back here, a pavement path even, which might sit quite nicely against the gravel as well, but we'll want to make sure that it is hooked in various locations. So if we turn off snapping here, so we'll have to keep an eye and see if citizens actually can walk on that or not and can connect from the quays, but hopefully they will be able to, and we should be fine there. Now, I've just drawn that road back a little bit, and we'll just add in a very small connection to the end here, just to make sure that that is hooked up into that road there. And in between our market stalls as well, we can do a little bit of vanilla surface painter with some gravel roads in here, which can kind of fill this out. Of course, we could zone more into those spaces as well, so we'll see how this kind of looks when it all comes in, and then we'll take it from there. Yeah, see, like, this is nice, like, it's kind of cute, but I want more ones like this, or the, like I said, the 4x1 asset in particular I want in here. And these are all complaining, yes, because they don't have a service point, because we haven't got any power. Let's just help them out quickly, and we'll bring some power down to them. I'm just going to loop it straight from here for now. It should jump across from the port once we've got our zoning in here, so we shouldn't have a problem with that in the long run. Okay, so over this side, we can actually just extend out this district a little bit. And we're going to be putting in some high density Green Cities housing. So let's again go to residential specializations, and we'll choose self-sufficient buildings for this. And we have got a bit of noise around the ferry that we'll need to be careful to contend with, but because it's high density, we shouldn't have too much of a problem here. So yeah, what I would like is a kind of a nice mix in different sizes of buildings. There's a particularly nice 3x2, so I want quite a few of those in. But we will mix it up something like that, and we'll see what we get. We could, of course, have a little bit more Green Cities commercial just outside the station there, and indeed in this area too. I think what we will do here is connect the path in through here. Let's go snap to grid, and we can bring that out nice and straight and connect it in there. So at least they've definitely got a walkable connection down to the front of our waterfront here. We can do the same thing this side. Let's bring in a concrete pavement path and just connect it in there. We can have a bit of commercial in between. So coming onto our park area, I've just added in a little bit of pathing network, and it's not too steep actually. And we can have these running around some really nice rocks and trees and natural detailing, maybe a couple of little park features in here. I may add main gates into it so that we can kind of cheese it a bit, because it does already appear like there's quite a few Sims walking around. And they're definitely walking on the quays and on this path. Yeah, they are getting down, so they're able to transfer from the quay through this park down into the waterfront, which I really like indeed. The one issue we have with it is with our park paths, they push up the terrain at the quays. So what we do need to do is just upgrade the end of these sections to a plain concrete path, which doesn't kind of manipulate the terrain when you place them in. And then that feels quite a bit nicer there. I think we probably can have one more kind of section of it coming out of here and up round this corner onto this road this side. It's it's interesting trying to get these paths on these slopes, but I really want to use the Park Life Bar because I think it makes a bit more sense for it to be nice and smooth as opposed to a little bit bumpy like the plain concrete paths can get. But that then, adding that in there, does cause this massive sort of jump in the path in the middle, which is not ideal again. I think with a bit of detailing we could help that blend in a little bit, and it should look quite nice come the end. And going back to our Green Cities residential, yeah, we want to be super duper selective about these assets, and actually I'm kind of inclined to say I like all of these. I may let one of these or a couple of these upgrade actually to be a slightly higher version, which will give us a few different layers in height here, but I don't want them super duper high, which the Green Cities ones can get if you let them upgrade all the way to level 5. We definitely don't want that. So we'll leave these for a little bit and see how we get on. Okay, so the final piece of the puzzle before we come on to detailing up this area, and it needs quite a lot of it, is public transit. So we do have this bus line which flows in through our harbour area here. Now I would like to extend it because at the moment it's actually stopping back on this road here. I'm not too sure how many people are really using it through this point. How many people are using this stop? Yeah, there's a couple of people waiting. So we might want to leave that. But what I would like to do is extend this down, obviously, onto our waterfront here. So we'll have one stop there, and we'll have another stop out here. And then actually, conveniently, this does loop through our town centre. So let's definitely do this. I'm going to bring it off the main road and stop it outside of the library here. And then we could probably have one more stop next to the high density this side. And then again, for people to be able to transfer, let's add in a stop here too, so that people could easily walk between those stops if they didn't want to kind of, or they wanted to skip out a section which goes around our European suburbia area here. But that will bring people nicely down into the waterfront, up from the town centre. So I think that that will work well. I would actually also like another bus line, however, though, running through the middle of here. I think we could probably help this out with another sort of section to the bus line here. So I think actually let's stop it by the school. We'll just bring it out a little bit further round before it heads back into the town centre. We'll drag the stops here, have a couple there, have one back down the bottom here again so people can transfer. Now we are kind of getting a little bit messy with this. So I might be inclined to change this up a little bit. I think in fact we will, because they are covered here and they could easily walk down into this area if they wanted to. I think what else would be good in this area is actually another bus line just to loop people around and get them around just this little suburb here. So I'm thinking probably a looping bus line. So I think we'll actually start from outside the stations. They could transfer between the two lines there if they wanted to. Let's stop them right next to the schools here. And then we'll come up our kind of central road and have a stop by these houses here. So they're kind of nicely covered. And then we're going to come off it and up into the sort of more suburb areas here. Have another stop there. And I think I kind of want to avoid bringing them through the roundabout really at the start of the city, so I think we will simply go down here. One more stop over here by the high density at the edge of the park and then bring it in like that. So that should give them kind of a nice loop to be able to get around relatively easily and get to the school and things like that if they wanted to. So let's go ahead and have a look here. And do you know what? I am just going to default to the Japanese commuter bus because it's so much more efficient in terms of the capacity than any other line. And let's make this... We'll make it like a purpley colour. I need to go through and name all these bus lines, actually. So we'll check on the capacity of that at the end of the episode and see how our other bus line is doing coming down through the centre here as well. Because that may need some adjustments. Anyone using it? Yeah, we got 13 people. A few people did just get off there as well. So I think that is now time for detailing. So I'm going to jump into the time lapse now and we're going to completely design out our little park area here with nice rocks and trees, go through these assets and tidy up our waterfront down here, and lots of nice natural detailing going up the waterfront behind our green cities housing here and down this side as well. there we go. We have our little layered waterfront. So I did put in actually an extra row of Green Cities residential back here and really haven't done too much to it other than kind of heavily forested over some of the jankiness in the terrain, which actually kind of looks not too bad. I'm really enjoying the little layers of height here. And I actually haven't historicalised all of these because I'm hoping some of these will just level up a little bit to give us a little bit more variation in height here, which I think would be nice. So we'll see. I've historicalised most of them so we get those different layers, but we'll see how that progresses. And then down the back here, just added in a few little extra props, some playground equipment, some tables and that sort of thing. And I actually decided to keep a nice open green space in front of these apartments, which I thought was nice, kind of doesn't block their view or anything like that. Little bit of open green space, never hurt anyone. And then down by the ferry, I just filled this in with bushes so we couldn't see that horrendous jankiness in the terrain. And actually it's kind of quite nice now, just having that slight subtle change in height there. A couple of little shops next to it, little cafe there. Up the slope it's all very forested in as well. Yeah, I'm quite enjoying the forest in Unilla County. And then down here, yeah, we have just got in all of our little one deep commercial outlets, a couple of little market stalls and cafes, and it does mean we're getting quite a nice little flow of people along the pedestrian walkway and along the front here. I did a little garden out the back here actually, which I thought was kind of cute, a little bit random, but like a nice little flower garden, and then just a slightly more green space here with a few benches in that people kind of go into and enjoy and sit down, relax. And then, yeah, it was just kind of filling in these assets. I have to say, this was a massive pain in the butt. I very nearly went and actually downloaded Finder just to get these assets in because they just would not spawn in. So I did go for these little designs actually in the end, rather than filling it all out with market stalls. I went for this on this side, this little container area here, and then another one. And I thought these assets went in really nicely together to make a kind of corner, more interesting shaped asset there. And then we managed to actually get 3 healthy weeds spawned in next to each other, all of slightly different size. So it almost looks like one big supermarket, which I quite enjoy there. A little bit of parking, and then we come on to our leisure outlets on this corner. So I think the waterfronts come together actually really quite nicely, merged in with the fish market there. I'm quite enjoying that. And then we do come on to our park up here. So along the top of the quay, I actually plopped in some of these little benches from Railroads of Japan, which I quite enjoy a lot. And we do have a few little toilet blocks as well. I added some of those down by the waterfront too, including a little statue as well, because I thought it looked like an anchor. I kind of thought that was appropriate down to be by the waterfront there. And then we've got just a pocket of a few little interesting props. So we've got this one here, which actually has really quite a nice little view, sneaking out through the trees down to the fishing harbour over there. I'm quite enjoying that little view. And then a couple of little park assets, and I did put in gates as well, so it does mean we're making a little bit of money in this area. I'll just show you that. Yeah, making a small amount. And the entertainment's pretty decent, so it should actually get up to 3 stars, this park. So that will be handy. They don't have gates on the bottom of the quays, of course, but yeah, lots of people using these pathways to come down, float down the quays and down onto the bottom layer. So it all seems to be working pretty nice and smoothly indeed. So for today, that is going to be it. But if you have enjoyed the episode, likes, comments and shares are really greatly appreciated. And we need name suggestions, of course, for our suburb still and our waterfront. If there's matching names that you can think with those, then all the better. Drop them into the comments below and let me know. That's all from me for now, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye!